Revealed. How one caring housekeeper discovered the hidden truth that saved a billionaire's life. Maria had always hustled. A hard worker by nature, she was a housekeeper, mother, and relentless dreamer in her small town in Iowa. Her parents instilled in her the values of willpower and resilience, and their spirit lived on in her. Every morning, as the rooster crowed, she got to work cleaning homes, ensuring her two children had food and a roof over their heads. Little did she know her life was about to intertwine with one of America's wealthiest men. When she landed a job at the lavish steel mansion home to billionaire Thomas Steele, her heart raced. The glimmer of chandeliers made her chest tighten in disbelief. This was a world of opulence and excess, far removed from her modest life. As she dusted and organized, she felt the vibe in the mansion. Hollow laughter from extravagant parties echoed against darkened walls. Behind the high walls of wealth, Maria sensed a thick air of sadness, a spirit weighed down by isolation. One evening, while delivering fresh linens to Thomas's bedroom, Maria overheard a phone call. The words fell like heavy stones in the air. It's advanced, no one can know. Panic gripped her heart as she realized that beneath his sharp business facade lay a man in desperate battle against a life-threatening illness. Wealth couldn't shield him from suffering. He was fighting alone. Memories of her father's words flooded her mind, teaching her that dignity comes from lending a hand. Maybe, just maybe, she could help him navigate the hidden shadows in his life. She took a deep breath and mustered the courage to reach out. Maria began breaking down the walls around him, sharing stories over cups of coffee in the kitchen, her heart full with the laughter of her own children as their bond deepened. Maria saw the cracks in his facade. Thomas' expectations were like chains binding him, each heavier than the last. You shouldn't have to wear a mask, Thomas, she offered softly one bright morning, eyes full of care. Talk to your daughter, share your truth. His expression shifted, rage intertwining with vulnerability as he resisted. He couldn't acknowledge his own needs, tilting the balance of their newfound connection. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. But just as their dialogue opened, a health alert echoed through the mansion. The plan to confront the past seemed shattered, and Maria felt the weight of her own family's well-being pressing on her shoulders. What if he couldn't face it? What if the distance between his wealth and her reality sealed both their fates? As she wrestled with her commitment, amidst the dazzling rooms filled with silence, she couldn't help but wonder, would Thomas ever discover the courage to unveil his truths? Could they bridge the gap between their worlds, finding solace in each other's battle? The answer hung uncertainly in the air, and the mansion that once seemed so grand felt hauntingly vulnerable. The following morning, the sun peeked through the tall windows of the steel mansion, filtering light through the dust motes that danced in the air. Maria woke early, her heart heavy with the weight of yesterday's conversation. She knew Thomas was still wrestling with his demons, and that knowledge sharpened her resolve. If he was going to face the truth about his illness, he would need her support more than ever. As she tidied up the kitchen, arranging the china and brewing coffee, Maria felt a flicker of hope. Each mug she filled was a step towards clarity. Each plate, she polished a layer removed from the dark shadows that loomed over Thomas. She poured herself a cup and leaned against the counter, staring out at the sprawling garden. It was time to gather her courage again. Good morning, Thomas, she said softly when he entered, his expression a blend of exhaustion and gratitude. He looked down at the steaming cup she offered him. Coffee always helps, right? He took it, his fingers brushing against hers for just a moment. Despite his steel exterior, Maria sensed the subtle tremor of vulnerability in him. Thanks, Maria. I needed this, he replied, although his voice barely held any enthusiasm. They sat at the table, the air thick with the unsaid words hanging between them. Maria decided now was the time. Thomas, can I ask you something? She ventured cautiously. He looked up, the walls around him seeming to soften as he listened. Go ahead. Do you think it's time to talk to your daughter? You've leaned on her so much. Maybe it's time she knows what is really going on. Her heart raced, praying he wouldn't recoil. Silence filled the space, heavy and suffocating. Thomas' jaw tightened, and Maria felt her stomach twist. You don't understand, Maria. I can't put that burden on her. She has got enough to deal with. But you're not just her father. You're part of her life as foundation. Fighting this alone is not just hurting you. It's hurting her too, she urged, her voice steadfast. She loves you, Thomas. You deserve to share your truth, to not live a lie. Thomas lowered his gaze, his fingers nervously tapping on the table. You think it's that easy? He chuckled bitterly, though Maria could see the flicker of fear in his eyes. I've spent years building this image, this empire. I can't just shatter it. Sometimes, the strongest thing you can do is to admit you need help, Maria responded softly, her heart aching for him. It doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're human. And it's okay to be human. The tension in the room was palpable. Thomas stared into his coffee, as if seeking answers in the swirling liquid. Maria held her breath, hoping he would find the strength to embrace the truth. And then, with a deep, shuddering breath, he finally looked at her. What if I hurt her? What if she is not ready? Maria's heart ached for him. Then you face it together, one step at a time. You can't predict how she'll react, but you can control how you share it. It'll be a chance for both of you to heal. Isn't that worth taking the risk? His eyes glistened with something akin to longing and unfamiliar, yet profound hope. Just as he seemed ready to utter the words Maria longed to hear, a sudden commotion echoed through the house, breaking the moment like fragile glass. Thomas' daughter Alex stormed in, her face pale with urgency. Dad, we need to talk. It's important. Maria's pulse quickened, the weight of the moment shifting once again. Was this the sign they needed? Would they finally confront the truths that had been lurking in the shadows? Or would it push them further apart? The air around them charged with anticipation as Thomas glanced at Maria, the look on his face like a flickering candle, hope and dread intertwined. The moment felt unbearably fragile. What would Alex reveal? Alex's voice trembled, an unsteady current that sent shivers down Maria's spine. It's about school, but also about something bigger. She hesitated, glancing between her father and Maria, a mixture of anxiety and determination etched on her young face. Just tell me, honey, Thomas urged, his demeanor shifting from surprise to concern. He set his coffee down, leaning forward, ready to hear whatever it was that had struck Alex with such urgency. I found some papers in your study, she confessed, her breath catching. You didn't think I'd notice, but I did. They were medical documents, Dad. I didn't look at them at first, but I couldn't help it. The room was suddenly cloaked in an uncomfortable silence. Thomas's expression hardened, and Maria could feel the tension bubbling just beneath the surface, a tension that had taken root deep within their family. Alex, he began, but the words caught in his throat. The weight of his secrets loomed over him, palpable and suffocating. I'm not mad at you, she interrupted, crossing her arms as if trying to shield herself from the storm brewing in front of her. I'm just really scared. I love you, Dad, but I don't understand why you wouldn't tell me. Maria's heart sank. She had pushed Thomas toward transparency, only to have the truth arrive in such an explosive and confusing manner. Now, the vulnerability of this moment felt sharper than glass. The role of support shifted from her to Alex, and she could see the young woman growing, even in this moment of distress. Why didn't you tell me what is going on? It feels like you've been hiding from me, Alex continued, her voice rising slightly, a mix of hurt and bewilderment. I want to help you. I want to be here for you. Thomas looked at his daughter, and Maria observed the complex array of emotions playing across his face. Regret, guilt, and a flicker of fear. I didn't want to worry you. I thought I could handle this on my own. I just didn't want to burden you. That's not your choice to make. Alex exclaimed, tears forming in her eyes. I'm not a child anymore. I'm old enough to understand. Please, Dad, just tell me the truth. This was what Maria had wanted to avoid, this widening rift. She felt the storm within Thomas growing more intense, as if it were tethered to everything he had fought against for so long. Nervously, Maria reached out to Thomas, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder. Maybe this is the moment, she whispered softly, her voice a gentle coaxing as she glanced at Alex. You both need to share your truths. It's the only way to move forward. Thomas took a deep breath, searching for the right words through the tumult. His eyes darted between Maria and Alex, the weight of his decisions evident. He knew he needed to choose, to either stand on the precipice of honesty or retreat into his old habits of silence. Finally, he spoke, his voice low and shaky. Okay, Alex, you deserve to know everything. I've been diagnosed with an illness. It's serious, and I should have told you sooner. The moment tingled with intensity, the truth hanging in the air like an unanswered question. Alex's expression shifted, confusion and hurt mixing with the beginnings of understanding. But what does that mean? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. As Thomas prepared to open up further, the doorbell chimed through the house, its sharp sound cutting through the emotional heaviness like a knife. Each of them froze, a collective apprehension filling the space as the reality of the moment held its breath. Who could that be? Maria frowned, seeing the flicker of unease dance in Thomas's eyes. With uncertainty weighing heavily between them, they all turned toward the door. What awaited them there could change everything once more. Would it be an ally, or would it bring even more chaos into their fragile moment? The tension crackled, mirroring the doubts gathering within each of them. Would they be ready to face whatever came next together? The doorbell rang again, insistently, breaking the heavy silence. Maria's heart raced. She cast a glance at Thomas, whose face had gone pale. The unspoken question hung between them. Would the newcomer bring answers or complicate an already fraught conversation? After a moment that felt like an eternity, Thomas finally stood up. I'll get it, he said, his voice steady but low. As he walked toward the door, Alex's eyes brimmed with anxiety. Dad, wait, she called after him, the fear in her voice unmistakable. She reached out toward his back, but he kept moving, the distance between them widening. Thomas opened the door, revealing a woman in a crisp white coat. Her blonde hair was pulled back in a neat bun, and she had an air of authority that made Maria tense. The name Dr. Graham was embroidered on the coat, and her presence felt both comforting and ominous. Hello, Thomas, the doctor said, her tone even, but the concern in her eyes flickered. I'm here to check in on you. Alex's face drained of color. What is she doing here? Thomas turned back, his eyes darting between the two women. Is this really the time? He replied, frazzled. It's time we address this, Dr. Graham interjected, her gaze fixed on Alex as if trying to gauge her understanding. I'm sure you overheard some things, Alex. It's important to talk about your father's condition openly. Condition? Alex's words shot out, sharp and defensive. The hurt she felt combined with fear created an emotional ball within her throat. This is part of what I wanted to explain, Thomas said, exhaling as if he just declared a heavyweight truth. She has been helping me with my diagnosis. Why didn't you tell me you had a doctor? Alex pressed, feeling betrayal seep deeper into her wounds. Because I didn't want to alarm you. I thought I could manage it without you knowing. I never meant to. Not meant to what? Protect me from the truth? Alex interrupted, hurt radiating from her voice like heat. Maria squeezed her eyes shut for a moment, trying to shield herself from the raw emotions in the room. But the conflict only seemed to deepen. She wished for a way to bridge the gap. Alex, please, Dr. Graham said gently, stepping closer. I know this is hard to hear, but your father's condition requires understanding and support, now more than ever. What is it? Just tell me. Alex demanded, clenching her fists. Thomas looked at Dr. Graham, then at Alex, a storm of emotions raging in his chest. I'm dealing with a serious heart condition, he finally said. The words settled over them like lead. I've been trying to keep everything normal, especially for you. The weight of the revelation fell heavily in the room, palpable and suffocating. Alex's eyes widened, fresh tears spilling down her cheeks as understanding painted her face. Why didn't you just tell me? Because I wanted to protect both of you, he replied, his own voice cracking. But I realized I can't do this alone anymore. Dr. Graham interjected again, her voice soothing. This is a moment for honesty, and it's the first step toward healing. You two need to support each other. You can't carry this burden by yourself, Thomas. Caught in the flood of emotions, Alex turned toward Maria, seeking comfort in her presence. But Maria was gripped by her own turmoil, standing on the sidelines while the heart of their family was laid bare. Just then, Dr. Graham's phone buzzed in her pocket, an urgent sound that cut through the emotional haze. She glanced at it, her expression shifting. "I have to take this. It could be critical," she said, stepping back as she moved to answer the call. The door swung open wider, revealing another visitor, this time a young man with tousled hair and wide eyes. "Is everything okay?" he asked, clearly confused by the tension in the room. The moment shifted again, a new dynamic emerging as he stepped inside, interrupting the fragile atmosphere. Just like that, the door to secrets swung open wider. "Who are you?" Thomas asked, confusion and suspicion evident in his voice. A fresh wave of uncertainty rippled through the room. Just when they thought they were peeling back layers of truth, another mystery arrived on their doorstep. And as Maria watched the faces around her shift from recognition to dread, one burning question remained. What had this young man come to reveal? The young man took a hesitant step inside, his eyes darting between Thomas, Alex, and the still open door where Dr. Graham had just been. Panic flared across his expression, mixing with a hint of determination. "I'm Lucas. I'm here for my father. He lives here, right?" Thomas clenched his jaw. "Your father?" "Who, Michael Anderson?" Lucas interjected, cutting him off urgently. "He was supposed to meet me for lunch." Alex blinked through her tears, caught off guard by the mention of a name tangled in the web of their own family crisis. "Michael Anderson?" she murmured, almost to herself as questions spun in her mind. "But he was in bad shape last time I heard." "I know," Lucas said, his voice thick with emotion. "He called me last night. He was feeling better, told me he had something important to discuss. I thought he might be with you." Heavy silence fell over the room. Thomas exchanged glances with Maria, the shadows of dread creeping back. "He's not here, Lucas. I don't know where he could be." Alex stepped closer to Lucas, her instinct to protect her father kicking in. "What did he say? What was so urgent?" Lucas swallowed hard, his hands trembling slightly. "He said he was going to make things right, but then he kept talking about a debt. Something he had to fix." "Debt?" Maria questioned, her voice picking up, the urgency rising. "What kind of debt?" "I don't know. He wouldn't tell me. Just said he was sorry, that it was his fault," Lucas replied, shaking his head. "I thought it had to do with something work-related. I didn't think it was life or death." Thomas's expression sharpened, realization beginning to dawn. If it's a debt, if he meant our families have been tied together for so long, what did he mean by fixing it? Lucas looked between them, bewildered. "I don't know. I just wanted to find my father. I told him to stay home if he wasn't feeling well, but he insisted." The atmosphere thickened with a blend of confusion and fear, settling heavier now with each breath. Maria's heart raced as the pieces clicked and the connections reshaped in her mind. Michael, Thomas, it was more than she ever imagined. And now, a link had formed, one that could either cut deep or offer a lifeline. In that moment, Dr. Graham returned, her expression serious. "What is going on?" she demanded, her gaze quickly analyzing the tension. "I just received alarming news about Michael Anderson's situation." "What situation?" Thomas pressed, his voice strained. "His heart condition appears to have worsened. We may not have much time. If there's anything vital to his care or recovery, now is truly the moment to disclose it all," Dr. Graham replied, and her words hung heavily between them. Maria caught sight of Lucas, whose eyes were now wide with panic. "Is he going to be okay?" "I don't know. But if there's a secret or a truth that could save him or even help Thomas, we need to uncover it now," Dr. Graham said, urgency punctuating her voice. The room pulsed with anxiety, each person tethered to the edge of their emotions, truths thick in the air. Time felt like it was unraveling, moments slipping away. Could the clues buried within their lives offer salvation, or would they further entangle them in this mystery? Alex's eyes caught Maria's, fear and determination swirling within them. "We can't wait any longer. We have to figure this out," she urged, as the weight of their shared histories began to press down tighter, the flicker of hope ignited. Perhaps the revelations yet to come could unearth paths toward healing. And in that moment of clarity, one question burned anew, suddenly more urgent than ever. Would they uncover the hidden truths in time to save Michael and perhaps save each other along the way? Lucas felt the intensity of the room wrap around him like a suffocating blanket. He had rushed here, driven by worry and hope, but now the shadows of dread loomed larger. He could see that Maria and Thomas were just as lost as he was. Alex, though, was a beacon of fierce determination. "Thomas, what debt are you talking about?" Maria's voice pierced the tension, her brow furrowing in confusion. It was clear she needed clarity, just as much as Lucas did. "We've known each other as families for decades," Thomas replied, his voice slightly steadier now. "Michael and my father were close, but there's something dark there. Something we've kept buried." He hesitated, running a hand through his hair. "If Michael has a debt, it could be more than just financial. Buried secrets," Lucas murmured, "could end up costing us all." Dr. Graham's face turned serious. "We need to focus. If Michael is indeed in critical condition, we have to get to the truth fast, whatever it is." Alex stepped forward, eyes fierce. "Lucas, what else did your father say? Was there anything else that could help us help him?" Lucas thought back to their late-night conversation. He mentioned regrets. Something about choices about family. But he wouldn't say more. "I assumed it was about work, not this." "Regrets," Maria echoed softly. "So it connects back to your family's history too." The tension thickened. Time was pallid and stretched. It felt as if their every heartbeat landed heavily in the air. Each word exchanged felt like a small step towards either a breakthrough or a waterfall of heartache. Dr. Graham interjected, her voice calm but filled with purpose. "Look, we can't afford to speculate. Every moment that passes could be critical for Michael." She locked her gaze on each of them, determination radiating from her. "Let us figure this out together." Thomas spoke, his eyes narrowing. "What if there is an old agreement? A deal made when our parents thought they could handle it all? Something still lingering between our families like a dark cloud?" Lucas blinked. The notion hit him like a wave. "You mean a feud? Or something that went wrong?" "Yes," Thomas nodded, his voice steady now. "And if it's part of his debt, an unfinished symphony from the past, it could be unraveling everything now, especially for Michael." "Then we need to dig deeper," Maria said, a newfound resolve filling her voice. "We need to confront any ghosts from our family's pasts, whatever it takes." "Agreed," Alex chimed in. "If there's a connection that can aid us in helping Michael, we'll uncover it." But as they stood united in purpose, Lucas felt a familiar pang in his chest. How could knowledge from the past heal? Was it really possible that these truths could lead to salvation? Dr. Graham glanced at her watch. "We don't have much time, people. Let us move." With renewed urgency, they prepared to face the remnants of their families, armed with the knowledge that their pasts were not just echoes of history, but very real threads that could either save or condemn Michael. Just as they turned to leave, Lucas hesitated. A question danced on his lips. "But what if revealing these truths risks tearing us further apart? Are we willing to pay that price?" The silence that followed was deafening, and the weight of uncharted territory loomed. Each person understood that this journey could rupture more than just their families, it could reshape everything they believed about themselves. And as they stepped toward the door, one question remained. Would uncovering the past truly lead to healing, or would it unearth a storm that could tear them apart forever? The hallways of the hospital felt sterile and unwelcoming as they moved quickly, each sound echoing off the stark, white walls. Lucas could sense their shared anxiety hanging in the air, a tangible thing that made his skin crawl. As they reached the elevator, he stole a glance at his friends. Maria was biting her lip. Alex paced slightly, his hands balled into fists. Thomas stood firm, but the worry in his eyes betrayed him. "Are we sure about this?" Lucas asked, pressing the button repeatedly as if it could make the elevator come faster. "Digging into our family's pasts. What if we're opening old wounds?" "Wounds can heal," Lucas, Maria countered, her voice steadier than she felt. "But them being hidden can fester. If some truth or promise is tied to Michael's situation, we have to confront it." The elevator doors slid open with a soft ding, and they piled in, the small space amplifying their collective tension. As the doors shut, Lucas felt the air grow thicker. The silence was suffocating, a moment where they all wrestled with their thoughts, readying themselves for the ghosts that awaited them. The elevator hummed softly, and the descent felt endless. Lucas closed his eyes, imagining Michael lying helplessly in a hospital bed. The man had always been a pillar, a constant in a world where things shifted unpredictably. What kind of secrets could drag him down? Suddenly, Alex spoke, breaking the silence. What if the answers are hidden in our parents' old letters or records? They must have communicated somehow. If there's a debt, then there should be a record of it. Good idea. Thomas replied instantly. It's a starting point. There could be paperwork back at home, or even in the family archives. I'll check my father's old office. It's south the only place I can think of where we might find something in time. As the elevator doors slid open again, they emerged into the bustling hospital lobby. People rushed around, lost in their worries, while Lucas felt anchored in his own. He had just one goal now: to save Michael. The group split off, each heading toward their own families. Lucas's mind railed with doubt. Dark family secrets? Could they really go digging into the past and unearth something that might reconcile the families, but potentially ruin their friendships in the process? He tried to shake off the thoughts. The urgency clawed at him. Every second spent worrying was a second spent away from Michael. Back at home, Lucas rifled through boxes in the attic, the musty scent of old paper filling his nostrils. Memories of his childhood flashed through his mind, but he pushed them aside. This wasn't about nostalgia. It was about survival. After hours of searching, Lucas pulled out an old chest, its wooden surface cracked and dusty. Inside, he found a jumble of letters, some stacked neatly, others crumpled, all yellowed with age. As he flipped through them, a single name caught his eye, a name he hadn't expected to see linked with his father. Michael, he whispered, realization dawning. There was a connection, a thread weaving them together that he desperately needed to understand. As he reached for the letters, a sound erupted behind him. His mother stood at the doorway, a mixture of surprise and fear shadowing her face. "What are you doing up here?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. "I need to know, Mom. I have to know about the past," he confessed, his heart racing. "What did you and Dad keep from me?" Her expression hardened, a storm brewing in her eyes. "Some secrets are meant to stay buried, Lucas. You might not like what you find. Can we afford to ignore it?" He pressed, stepping closer. "What if that's what keeps Michael from coming back?" Her eyes softened for just a brief moment, a flicker of doubt, maybe fear. But then she shut down again, an impenetrable wall of silence rising between them. And just like that, Lucas felt the weight of the world against his shoulders. "Please," he urged softly. "If you care about Michael at all, help me." The tension in the room crackled, a moment hanging in balance. Would she break the silence? Would revealing the past save Michael, or would it tear Lucas and his family apart forever? As they stood there, the answers felt closer, yet so far away. Lucas's heart raced in the heavy silence. He watched his mother's face, waiting for her to say something, anything that might shed light on the past. Instead, she turned away, as if the mere thought of revealing secrets was unbearable. "Mom, please," he whispered, his voice barely a breath. "You owe me this." Turning back abruptly, she studied him, an internal battle raging within her. Then, just as quickly, her features hardened again. "What you think you need to know could change everything. For all of us. Then let it change. Don't you see? Michael needs us to be brave now." The frustration and desperation slipped into Lucas's words, grounding him in his cause. "I refuse to stand by while we have a chance to help him." As those words hung in the air, he could see a shift. His mother's eyes glistened, but she shook her head. "The past is complicated, Lucas. It's messy, and sometimes the truth hurts more than the lies we tell ourselves." "I can handle it," he insisted, stepping forward. "Please. You took away my chance to grow up knowing my family's truth. Don't take away my chance to save someone I love." Her facade began to crack, a single tear escaping as she turned her face away, but Lucas caught it. That tiny moment ignited a glimmer of hope. Maybe she would open up after all. "Michael, he is not just anyone," she finally said, her voice breaking. She hesitated, letting the weight of her words hang between them. "He is tied to something much bigger than you know. And to reveal it, Lucas, would mean exposing all the pain that has lingered over us for years. What could possibly be worse than what is happening now? We aren't just sitting by waiting. We're trying to change things." Lucas felt the heat of frustration rising in him. "You said some secrets are meant to stay buried. But what if it's not a secret anymore? What if it's a lifeline for Michael?" Her shoulders trembled as she processed his words. "You don't understand the risks. I'm willing to take that risk." His voice shot out like an arrow, aimed straight at her fears. "If it can save him, then what choice do we have? What choice do you have?" There was another long pause. where time seemed to stretch infinitely, filled with the heavy weight of unspoken truths. Fine, she murmured, her voice almost inaudible. If you really want to know, I'll show you. But be prepared, Lucas. The truth can break a person just as easily as it can set them free. Relief washed over him, but he also felt a wave of dread crashing in. What could she reveal? What old wounds would they unwrap together? As Lucas and his mother set to work, he shuffled through the letters piled on the floor. The words on those fragile pages felt more than just ink. They thrummed with life, marked by past struggles and hidden connections linking their lives. Just then, his phone buzzed violently on the floor, startling him. He picked it up to see Alex's name lighting up the screen. A knot formed in his stomach. There was urgency in Alex's tone when he answered. Lucas, you need to come back to the hospital. There's been an update about Michael something big. Before he could process the implications of that, his mother's voice broke through his thoughts. Lucas, wait. This could change everything for us and for him. Her hands trembled as she held out a letter, the edges worn and frayed. What does it say? His heart raced, a mixture of fear and excitement coursing through him. I don't know, she replied, dread washing her features. But it's about time you read it. As Lucas reached for it, he understood they were standing on the edge of something huge. They would either plunge deep into a chasm of family drama or emerge in the light of truth. The moment of revelation felt thick in the air. Could this be the answer? Or could it tear apart everything he believed in? And just like that, a feeling of impending change hung heavy around him, leaving Lucas teetering on the brink, unsure of where the next step would lead. Lucas took the letter from his mother's trembling hands, the paper crinkled and old, as if it had been hidden away for decades. His skin tingled with anticipation and fear as he unfolded it, each crease unfolding a new layer of mystery. Read it, his mother urged, barely able to contain herself. He glanced up at her, searching her face for any hint of what he was about to uncover. But her expression was a mix of hope and dread that only deepened his uncertainty. Taking a deep breath, Lucas began to read. The handwriting was fluid, graceful, exuding a sense of urgency. Each word struck him like a bolt of electricity, igniting memories of laughter and whispers shared between him and Michael. The letter spoke of family ties, connections that were both beautiful and tangled. As he read on, a chill crept up his spine. Names were mentioned, names that felt foreign yet familiar, shadows flickering in the corners of his mind, just out of reach. There was talk of promises made in the fog of addiction, the pain of betrayal, and the inexplicable bond that tied them all together. What does it say? His mother asked, her voice quivering. It's complicated, he whispered. It mentions people I hardly know, but it's like we're all connected somehow. Lucas's mind raced with the implications. Could Michael really be so intertwined within their family's secrets? He skimmed through the letter again, the pieces slowly clicking together. Mom, do you realize what this means? Michael's not just a friend. He might be. His mother's eyes widened, and he could see years of regret etched in her features. I always hoped the past would just fade away, that it wouldn't affect our lives anymore. But it's all coming back to haunt us. Isn't it? Haunt us or save us? Lucas countered, heart hammering in his chest. We have to tell Michael about this. He deserves to know. But doubt flickered in her gaze, a storm of thoughts swirling at the surface. If he learns the truth, it could destroy everything he believes about himself. It could change how he views us, how he views his whole life. Isn't that what we want? Lucas challenged, fighting against the rising tide of her fear. He has already lost so much. If we don't act, it could cost him his life. The urgency in his voice broke through the fog, and he felt that small spark of resolve in her faltering mind. Right? She said, her breath gaining strength. We must get to the hospital. If the update Alex mentioned is as dire as it sounds, we may not have time to waste. With a new sense of purpose, they both rushed to gather their things, still wrapped in the urgency of unearthing their shared truth. As they stepped outside into the cool air, Lucas felt lighter, almost like he was reclaiming not just Michael's fate, but a piece of his own fragmented identity as well. Lucas, his mother said suddenly, her brow furrowed with concern, if we do this, there's no going back. Are you truly ready for that? He turned to her, ready to reassure her, but instead, something deep inside him paused. The weight of their collective histories pressed down harder than ever. I have to be. Walking to the car, a sense of looming destiny filled the spaces between them. As they sped towards the hospital, Lucas gripped the letter tightly, the ink imprinted on his soul. He could feel every word pulsing with the weight of the past, intertwining with their present. But as they approached the entrance, Lucas could see the frantic energy of the hospital lobby, a place he had grown all too familiar with lately. What is happening to Michael? He wondered, anxiety rippling through him like electricity. When they finally burst through the emergency doors, emotions clashed with the sterile environment. Shouts, beeping monitors, and hurried footsteps echoed around them. "Lucas!" Alex shouted from across the room, waving wildly. Before Lucas could respond, he saw the worried look on Alex's face. You won't believe what they just discovered about Michael. A pit formed in Lucas's stomach, a mix of anxiety and anticipation of what was to come. He glanced at his mother, who nodded, her face as resolute as it was determined. They both felt that the moment was now. "Tell me," Lucas urged Alex, his heart racing. As the words left Alex's lips, a chilling realization settled around them. Lucas understood, in that moment, that they were about to dive into a revelation that could change everything once again. Could it bring them the truth they desperately needed? Or would it tear them apart beyond recognition? The truth was waiting to unveil itself, and Lucas had never felt more afraid or more alive. As they all huddled together in the hospital's waiting area, faces growing taut with anxiety, Lucas could feel the weight of everyone's worries pressing down like a heavy fog. It was now or never. He turned to Alex, his heart pounding. "What did you find out? Please, tell me." Alex took a deep breath, steadying herself as she looked into Lucas's eyes. "Michael, he has been more than just a father figure to you. We found some hidden letters in his things, evidence his health has been tied to our family's pasts. There are connections to a time when things took a dark turn." "Connections?" Maria chimed in, her voice thick with concern. "What connections? We need all the details now." Alex pressed her lips together, steeling herself. "They indicate an old agreement, something that went wrong. Our parents' actions have consequences, and Michael, he has been carrying burdens that aren't just his own." The room drew quieter as each person absorbed the significance of Alex's words. The illnesses and fears that had come to define their lives were now intricately intertwined, playing out like a drama in which they were all unwilling actors. "Where do we go from here?" Thomas asked, his voice wavering, as if the strength he'd worked so hard to maintain began to slip. Lucas stepped forward, his heart swelling with determination. "We tell Michael the truth. He deserves to know. If revealing this can save his life, how can we hold back?" But Maria shook her head, her eyes wide with concern. "What if Michael can't handle the way our pasts collide? It could destroy him. We don't know how he'll react." "But hiding it is the same as keeping him in the dark," Alex replied firmly, her determination shining through the fear. "He has always been honest with us. It's time he knows we're behind him, fighting together." Lucas felt an electric charge in the air. They were standing on a precipice, teetering between the past and the uncertain future. He turned to his mother, the letter still clutched tightly in his hands. "We need an ally in this. Can we trust Michael with the weight of our truth?" The air thickened, tension wrapping around them like a cord. Dr. Graham appeared at that moment, her expression serious as she approached the group. "I understand there have been some startling discoveries regarding Michael's health. This is important." "Dr. Graham," Thomas said urgently, "we need your guidance. We want to support him in every way possible." "Honestly, transparency is vital," she said. "But take care. Before you dive into everything, understand that his heart is fragile right now. He needs love, not just the burden of our pasts." That was when they heard a rustling noise from the hallway, the familiar sound of Michael being wheeled down in a hospital bed. The moment felt frozen in time. Lucas' heart raced as he shifted from fear to urgency. This was at the moment to a CT'd as the nurses pushed Michael into the room. Lucas felt his breath catch. There he was, pale, but the flicker of spirit still alive in his tired eyes. "Lucas," he murmured, barely above a whisper. "I've been waiting to see you." "Michael," Lucas started, stepping forward, his resolve strengthening. He couldn't let his father's figure fade away like the twilight outside. "There's so much we need to talk about." With everyone holding their breath, Lucas laid the truth bare. guiding Michael through the tangled lines that connected their families and led to this moment. He spoke with raw honesty, words flowing like water breaking a dam, the past and present merging in a delicate dance meant to mend their fractured relationships. Michael listened intently, his eyes wide. As each detail unfolded, he absorbed the weight of generations, the pain, the betrayal, but also the hope. "I didn't know," he finally whispered, tears pooling. "I didn't know how deeply everything was intertwined." "It's not too late, though," Lucas said, his heart racing with conviction. "We can change this. Together." A gentle, flickering smile broke through Michael's exhaustion. "Thank you for bringing this to light, Lucas. I won't let the past dictate my future anymore." Maria stepped forward, her voice soft yet powerful. "And you're not alone. We're here for you always." As they watched the light return in Michael's eyes, something shifted. Healing began, not just for him, but for all of them. Shadows of the past started to clear, revealing a path toward unity and strength. They stood together, a renewed family forged through honesty and trust. Hope radiated in the room, an incandescent light that chased away the darkness of what was. In that charged moment, Lucas understood that while the road ahead might be fraught with challenges, they would face it together, connected by love and their willingness to be vulnerable. Michael grasped Lucas's hand firmly, an unspoken promise blooming between them, one rooted in the power of transformation. As they gathered closer, ready to take on whatever life had in store, a wave of gratitude washed over them. Moments that once felt chaotic and uncertain had turned into a precious tapestry of connection. They no longer needed to fear what the past might hold, knowing their truth would be their greatest strength. And as that realization settled warmly in their hearts, an echo of laughter rang through the sterile hospital walls, promising brighter days ahead. Now is the moment for you to embrace this journey. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep this community thriving. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait, not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.